Hey guys, I hinted at this in the title of the last episode. What went wrong in that last gameplay? It was the drug. So last time we picked Nehelzine. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But actually what we need is Yandere. So, let's go and click Yandere. 2 weeks of Yandere coming up. Try to help her rest, okay? Yeah, okay. Heading outside, John handed the bag to Lizzie. He had pushed pretty hard to get to this point, but he would never force her to take the medication. His father had used to talk like he didn't have a choice about depression medication. Practically threatened to force feed him. John refused to do that to anyone else. But Lizzie didn't make an issue of it at all. Smiling at him, she opened the bag, shook out one of the pills, and swallowed it without even taking a drink. She'd given the label a careful look, though. Okay. I hope you can love me now, John. Lizzie, no. I never meant anything like that. Please don't. That didn't taste bad at all. So, can we go on with our date now, John? Can we? He wanted to go back to what she had said, reassure her that he meant nothing wrong by it. But his words were stuck in his mouth. By the way, sorry if my voice has changed. It has been 2 months since my last time recording this. I kind of recorded the last few ones I uploaded in a burst. Of course, the ones I recorded before 5 or maybe 6 were like way back in April. So I do apologize for that. I'll try to be a little more consistent. I know it's, I've been trying to do at least weekly. And again, I do plan on doing more new content. Just please do be patient with it. And I'll probably be skipping around a lot this episode just because there was a lot of stuff we already visited. But I just want to show you guys what we had to do to get to where we were going, alright? Maybe on some level, he did mean to force her. Maybe he was repeating everything that had been done to him. But with Lizzie smiling at him like that, he couldn't fall too far into depression. Instead, John smiled back and gestured for her to follow. Without any great ideas, John thought they should go to the park. Their town had a pretty nice park, and it was usually empty at this time of day. His friends always said that a movie was the best for the first date, but he suspected they mostly wanted to try to cop a feel. Besides, he was worried Lizzie would end up watching him instead of the movie. In the park, Lizzie happily skipped along the path, often looking back to him, but at least looking at a lot of other things as well. As he watched, he realized that she was definitely more stable than usual. She stayed cheerful and sweet, without any threats of violence. Could it really be the Yandere with him? The Paxatine had taken weeks to work, and whether or not it actually helped had been really unclear. Then again, Lizzie was her own case. Or maybe she's just trying to help you see what you want to see, John. Of course, it took more than medicine to cure a serious condition. He knew that all too well. As Miss Smith had said, therapy was also an important component of recovery. Hers had certainly helped him a lot. The third main component was social support network, and there he completely failed to take her advice. He still spent most of his time alone or in meaningless old relationships. But hey, now he was walking the park with a girl his age. Maybe things were looking up. And for once in his life, things went his way. Lizzie was happy to eat fast food for lunch and didn't even try to feed him anything. Oh! Also, quick aside. I did record a video where I kind of went through everything, through the process of finding it. I don't think it's that great of a video. But if you guys want me to upload that one unedited, let me know when I can. I don't think it'll be too interesting, but if you want to see it, let me know in the comment section below. Afterward, he was pretty much out of plans, and Lizzie didn't want to stop. Fortunately, she was happy to drag him around town to see random things. Oh, and when I first played this, because I did play this before I recorded it a long time ago, I actually did get the best ending the first time around. I think it changed because, one moment, sorry, my throat's a little bothering me today. Was just because of the drug choice, honestly. So, in a way, he was grateful for that. He had spent all his energy for making decisions during the morning. It was easy to just glide along in her wake. In that way, she was a good match for him. When the sun started setting, John was actually surprised. Had the day really passed by that quickly? He could barely drag himself through a lot of weekends. This was a welcome change. Okay, so we already seen this scene before, so let's go and skip through. So let's see, what do we say here? I don't remember what we said last, but let's just go with yes, we're dating. That's probably good for you. You need relationships. But I have to ask, have the two of you been intimate? What? How can you ask that? I'm not teasing you. This is a very serious question. You better not be leading up to giving me a lecture about safe sex or abstinence or something. So, should I take that as a no? Yes, I mean, no. We haven't done anything like that. It's good to hear that you are at least expressing interest. Koitek got back to me about Erozepen. I'm not going to try that again. And it's still decades from viability. So we don't have a solid option for libido issues. Can we talk about something else? Anything else? Sorry to make you uncomfortable, John, but I do need to be concerned about your welfare in all respects. To that end, I need to ask one more question. Has the girl ever displayed any strange behavior, erratic tendencies? Forget if this was one of the ones we needed to do differently. Let's just ask what kind of question was that. I don't remember what we answered last time, but we're gonna just gotta skip through what we've seen before because I don't want you guys to have to see through that again, and hopefully I'm not making the wrong mistake. So, again, we did agree to sleep with her. Accept her choice or kiss her. I think both were fine. We'll go with kiss her. Suggested later time. She was thinking the same thing. I just wanted to ask you first. Last time it was too much for me. I think I can't handle so much emotion at once. I want to be with you again. I want to so badly. But maybe it would be better to wait. Like until we're married? Oh my, no! No, we can't wait till we get married. We can't get married in school, so that would be forever. I can't wait that long. But let's wait a little longer, okay? Let me get used to having you close so close first. I think I understand. Of course, Lizzie. We can wait. I knew I made the right choice asking you. Lizzie snuggled up against him, which admittedly did bring sex to mind, but he was happy just to hold her close. I think this will be better, for the long term. It used to be I couldn't think so far ahead. Everything just ended up when it reached you. But now that I have you, I'm starting to think further into the future. I want us to have each other forever and ever. Oh, and John, I'm glad you felt like you could say no to me. No problem. Alright, so let's go ahead and skip back. Let's see, what did we do this time? About her interests. Say romantic things about Lizzie. Oh, we didn't get that option. We did. Okay, so I think we chose something wrong here because if I remember correctly, it's this option. So we did. Let's go back. Shoot, I waited too long. I forgot what I was supposed to be doing. Oh no. All right. Let's see here. Let's go back because let me show you guys essentially what the option is supposed to be. Oh no, not save. Not save. Let's go to load. Was it here? I think it might have been here. No, not here. Let's see, did I save it? Let's see. It looks like I didn't, so, but it might be up here. Ah, shoot. So there must have been another decision that I chose wrong. Darn. Okay, I think it was the morality one. Let me try going back. We're gonna have to go all the way back though, guys. Sorry. Let's do this one more time. We're gonna speedrun it, okay? Speedrun. One moment. Yes, we're dating. What kind of behavior? We'll switch to that one. Take her hand. Oh, we must have chosen a different choice this time because we gotta stop to our skipping. The look Lizzie had been giving her mother, those eyes, shouldn't have belonged to a human child. John didn't want to think about it a second longer, so he rushed out of the room as he felt he could, as best he could, desperate for something to take his mind off unpleasant thoughts. John looked around for anything else. The door next to the bedroom was jammed, but he wrenched it open and stared. The room was filled with pictures of him, his yearbook photos, but also lots of pictures of him in class. Pictures she must have taken herself. Oh, fuck. There were pictures of him sleeping in his own bed. Ah, we might have messed up. But okay, we got a different ending, so that's interesting. Let's actually keep going. For a moment, he just stood there, trembling. Then John snapped back to his senses. He immediately stepped back and closed the door, trying not to make a sound. He told himself he shouldn't be so surprised. He knew she was obsessed, but it still shook him. He was inside his stalker's house. John? Yes? I just wandered off. I'm coming back. Good. There's something I want to show you. Oh. That's a nice axe you got there. John? Oh shit. What are you doing with that axe? You don't trust me, John. That makes me so sad. You think I'm going to trust you when you're coming at me with an axe? I try to be patient. I can't wait any longer. So I need to take matters into my own hands. Hold still, John. Stand firm. I'm afraid that running would just make her chase him, but as she got closer, she scraped the axe along the wall and gave him a smile that was anything but sweet. This won't hurt very much, and then things will be better. Trust me. Oh, let's trust her. Yes, nothing can go wrong, guys. This is perfect. This is flawless. Swallowing, John stayed where he was. Lizzie got even closer, her smile widening, and then her other hand came up. Instead of a weapon, it held a dark rag. It was over his mouth and nose before he could react. Stunned, John only struggled instinctually. Then the chemical fumes overwhelmed him. So if we would have chosen to run, I'm pretty sure we would have died. John woke up to the feeling of something tight on his wrists. At first, he thought he must be tangled in the sheets, but when he tried to move his hands, they were stuck. The memories returned in a bitterly cold flood. Lizzie had actually knocked him out by force and brought him wherever this was. His blurry vision slowly returned, and he could make out a rough basement around him. He could see a heavy metal door at the top of a set of stairs. It looked as though there were shelves and tools around the walls, but he couldn't pay attention to those. Not with Lizzie standing right in front of him, eyes fixed on his face. I'm glad you're awake now. Are you feeling okay? Okay, you've... I didn't want to have to be this way, John, but I don't have a choice. You're confused, John. You don't understand how much this matters. I hope you understand. What are you going to do to me? Don't be afraid, John. Everything is going to be alright. I'm completely empty. There's nothing inside me. There's never been anything inside me. The emptiness craves something. I didn't understand what I needed for years and years. Eventually, I realized that I needed a person, a specific person. But I didn't know who. Occasionally, there would be a flicker of light, a flicker of feeling. I'd watch someone for a while, but they were never what I needed. Nothing actually mattered. Until I met you. But what? Let me finish. For so long, I could barely even bear to look at you. The feeling was so intense, and then I couldn't bring myself to talk to you. I was afraid it would all just disappear. But the feeling didn't go away. They got stronger. You were made for me, John. You need to understand that. But you don't understand, because you're confused. That's why I need to keep you here. You think this is going to help? It may be difficult at first, John, but you'll come to understand. I promise you will. After all, I have days and days with you all to myself. Days and days. John recalled that they were going to have a full week of vacation. That meant she could keep him a full 9 days before they had to return to school. That was no accident. She'd coldly planned the entire thing. Maybe she'd been manipulating him since before she even asked for the date. Part of him was terrified. Part of him was furious with her. And another part, his depression, saw a twisted mirror of his own feelings. But the worst he had ever done was say unkind things, not this. Just what did she plan to do to him anyway? As he looked around the basement, he saw a lot of heavy tools. Some of the hammers and knives looked as if they'd been used. John slumped against the ropes, binding him to the chair, and just wept. He wasn't sure how long the release of emotion continued, but when it was over, John felt as though his mind had been purged. His current situation might be pretty bad, but he still had options. He could figure out something. Assuming he figured out what he even wanted to do, the same thing to do would be to find a way to escape. The same thing, sorry. Contact the police, or maybe it would be safer to convince Lizzie to calm down. Take more medication, not hurt him. John, we're going to have ever so much time together. Aren't you excited? He needed to say something, turn the situation around, but it was just so hard to focus. Before I got to know you, I thought this would be the easy part. I thought I understood how people worked. Some things never make sense to me, but others are so simple. Lizzie walked up to one of the walls and began running her fingers over the tools. There. She picked up a knife and caressed the edge, partially turned away from him. You know, I actually never got an ending like this in the game. This is my first time getting an ending like this. I'll probably actually upload this one later, in fact, and I'll talk about it in my next video, which I'll upload before this one. And if you guys want to see this one, just tell me and I'll upload it. Or I might upload it separately just as, like, bad endings or something like that. I thought once I found you, I could make you mine, and then I would feel whole. But you see, I underestimated how much you would change me. I'm so much happier, and everything is so much more complicated. She walked towards him, wearing a soft, loving expression, but still holding the knife. John froze and held his breath as she walked behind him. I want all of you, John, even the parts I didn't know existed before. If I hurt you, I would never really have what I want. The knife slid past his face, but only as Lizzie moved to embrace him. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed herself against his back, inhaling deeply. I love you so much. I wouldn't be satisfied with just a shell of you. With that warning, she pulled back. The adoration in her expression was gone, replaced with an empty gaze fixated on him. But that makes this so much harder. What are you going to do to me? I don't know. I wish I knew. I took time to think, but it didn't help. You know what? Let's start actually a new whole save thing here. So, here's the reason why I say it. Normally I would say, like, charm her, but I don't think this actually means, like, as in he's interested in her. I think it just means, like, he's, like, trying to woo her in that sense. But, I don't know if that... So, we're not gonna go begging. We're definitely not gonna choose begging. So, we're gonna either go reason or charm. Let's do charm first, and then we'll go back and do reason if we need to. Lizzie, weren't we having a good time earlier? Getting closer together? Yes. Yes, it was wonderful. We can go on another date. Just let me go. We can keep going the way we were before. But I need more than that. I need to help you. He didn't want to push too hard, but he thought he got through to her a little. If he kept appealing to her romantic side, maybe he could get out of this. Lizzie paced around the room for a while, muttering under her breath, then suddenly straightened. Throwing aside the knife, it embedded itself in the wall. She went to a closet, and after a few seconds, she emerged with a chain. Oh, shit. Yes, this will be better. I'm sorry, John. I should have thought of this earlier. She clamped one around his ankle, then lifted a table at one end of the room and latched the other side of the chain there. Plucked the knife back out of the wall, Lizzie cut through John's bonds with troubling speed, smiling all the while. See? You don't have to be tied up. Here, use this table. I'll bring you whatever you need. Lizzie swept all the objects from the table like they were so much trash. Then frowned down at the empty space. But you didn't bring your books. Because of the date. Is there anything you want me to bring for you? He stared at her, still not entirely sure how to deal with this change. Licking his lips, John spoke before he could fully think through his words. Can I have some water? Of course, yes, water. And you slept a long time. You'll probably be hungry soon. Just wait here. While she was gone, he did his best just to rub some feeling back into his wrists and look around the room. The chain attaching him to the table leg was fairly long. He thought he could reach most of the basement, except the far end and the door at the top of the stairs. Not that he would try anything when she was nearby and could return at any moment. He did not try to lift the table, though see if he could slip the chain out from under the leg, and couldn't even budge it. What the hell? Was there some trick to it? Or was she just that strong? John had thought it might have been his imagination, or she was just fueled by passion, but to move the table as easily as she had, that shouldn't have been possible. There wasn't time for anything else before Lizzie returned, bearing kitchen supplies. Just wait a moment. I'll make you something. And we can be together while I make it. Isn't that wonderful? Not waiting for an answer, she laid out her ingredients on one side of the table, then set up a chopping board. She began reducing vegetables to little chunks with terrifying ease, knife a silver blur in her hands. I know just what I want to cook today, but you can ask for whatever you want later, okay? I'll make you anything you like. Thank you? This is all I want, John. A peaceful life at home. You can stay inside. Ignore everyone who wants to hurt you. I'll keep you safe. Bring you whatever you need. Take good care of you. And never go outside? Of course you can go outside, if you wanted to. But right now I'm just afraid. Her movements became more erratic, and John saw several chips of wood fly away from the cutting board. Lizzie was still smiling sweetly. Don't you want, blah, blah, blah? Don't you want that too? To be able to just stay inside on bad days and ignore the world? That did sound good to him, but when he shifted his leg, he heard the chain clinking along the floor, and whatever he had been meaning to say evaporated out of his mind. As absurd as it was, the day continued almost normally. Lizzie made him an elaborate meal, and they ended up chatting over it, as if everything was normal. It felt wrong to do so, but he worried that doing anything else would just antagonize her. Did she really think this would work in the end? Honestly, he had no idea. And did she really need to do so much cutting for every single dish? When they had finished and chatted for a while, Lizzie abruptly hopped back to her feet. Okay, just a moment, John. I'm going to get your books, okay? I don't want you to be angry with me for making you fall behind on your homework. Is there anything else you want me to get from your house? Well, just let me know if you need anything, alright? She skipped away, and he heard the door above him close. He wondered if he could be a trick somehow, But after enough silence passed, he felt reasonably certain that she had actually gone to his house. Though she could have taken his key, he saw it still resting on the far table, with the other things he'd been carrying. Had she made a copy at some point, or could she just pick the lock? Neither possibility was exactly comforting, but he didn't have the time for that. John got to his feet, stretched, and considered his options. Ah, yes. I know the perfect option here. Make something for Lizzie. Deciding his best bet was to try to encourage Lizzie's good nature, John set to working with the kitchen supplies she'd left nearby. His options without a stove were limited, but he did his best to make her something that looked like real effort had been put into it. He was no chef, but he thought she would like anything he made with his own hands. Strangely, the act of making something for her helped him forget about the fact that he was chained in her basement. The situation might be messed up, but perhaps there was a core of something salvageable. When Lizzie saw his gift, she blushed, then took it away hurriedly. John blinked, but didn't have time to object. The next time he saw her, though, she was beaming. Though John spent all of Saturday tense, Lizzie showed no signs of intending to hurt him. That night, she brought a mattress and bedding down to the basement and set it up close enough that he could lie down on it. When he woke up on Saturday, he felt strangely normal. Still tense, the situation was far from ordinary, but in a strange way he had learned to deal with it. That day passed almost normally, since Lizzie had brought him his books. He tried to work through his homework, just like he often did on Sunday. Lizzie stayed with him most of the day, working as well. She made meals for the both of them, in the basement and upstairs, but she always stayed close. He hoped for a chance to evaluate his options more, but never spotted one, since she was always leaning in to smile at him from the stairwell. The only useful thing he'd learned was that the basement door was apparently unlocked, except at night. If he could somehow get unchained from the table, he had a shot at getting out. When Monday dawned, he crashed almost immediately and didn't even get out of bed. That was common for vacations, when he didn't have friends to distract him, since all he could do was wallow in himself. It felt worse than usual. His world wasn't just gray. His desperation was filled with flicks of anger and confusion. Only then did he realize that he hadn't taken any medication since Friday morning. When Lizzie entered that morning, she immediately saw how badly he was doing and rushed to his mattress, at first fussing with his sheets, before realizing the problem went deeper than that. "John, what's wrong?" "Other than you keeping me here?" "No, I'm sorry. No, if I let you go, you'll just hate me. It will ruin everything." "Then at least bring me my Paxitine. It's in the shelf above the sink to the... No. No, I won't bring it to you. I can't. I destroyed it." "What? But I needed that. You understand how serious my condition is, right?" "I know. I really do. But you shouldn't take their drugs, not theirs." "But... you were taking something before Paxitine, right? Tell me what it was. I'll go get some for you. I want you to get better, John, but I won't let you take anything from Koitek." Alright, another save. I'm surprised how long this went on. I can't believe we missed so much content by not going down this route. Let's see, let's go and request the old medication. Thinking back, John tried to remember the medication that had seemed to do some good. Maybe they weren't as good as Paxitine, but they would be better than nothing. "Okay, just wait here." Apparently, just remembering all the chemical names he listed, Lizzie hopped up the stairs, practically slammed the door in a hurry on the way out. Abruptly alone, John realized that he had another chance to act. Same thing as before. Since the previous dish he'd made had gone over so well, when Lizzie left, John set out to make something else. Given his limitations, though, it was hard not to repeat himself. This one made Lizzie smile, but he thought he saw something in her eyes. When she took the food, he thought he heard her whispering something about how romantic he was being. Eventually, Lizzie returned, bearing a large white sack. She triumphantly emptied it onto the table, dumping an entire pile of pills in front of him. She got every drug he mentioned, even the prescription ones. He hated to think about the nasty consequences if she tried to give him all of those at once. But instead, Lizzie just brought him a glass of water and set it down beside the pile. Take anything you need to get better, okay? I'll just leave them here, but you can ask for more water whenever you want. Thank you. Of course, John. I'm doing all this because I want you to get better. He felt like telling her that being held against his will wouldn't help, but her expression looked so sincere that he couldn't bring himself to say it. How'd she gotten prescription medications anyway? He found the one that he had been most satisfied with, but just before Miss Smith switched him to Paxitine, and took his first dose. Lizzie smiled brightly, then skipped back upstairs. After lunch on Tuesday, Lizzie started carrying electronics down the stairs. He blinked in confusion. Still, she brought down the TV and started hooking everything together. Or at least attempting to. After a moment, she sighed and looked at him sheepishly. Do you know how this works? I can try to figure it out. He got up and did his best to help. It was a pretty nice VCR, leading him to wonder why she had it and didn't know how to put it together. It wasn't like someone else would have bought it for her. Wait, did it give us a time when this took place? Let's see, if it's a nice VCR, so that means we're probably in the 90s, right? Do you not use this much? Never. I don't really watch television. Like at all? No. She had seemed weirdly apathetic about a lot of things, but he thought she just wasn't into pop culture. Yet now, something in her voice made him suspect it was something else entirely. What about music, then? I don't listen to music. Huh, really? Well, what about books? Only non-fiction that seems useful. The rest all feels so pointless. What do you do for fun, then? She stared back at him so long he was afraid she might just ignore the question. Well, sorry I do enjoy a few things now, thanks to you. I spent a lot of time collecting all those knives because I thought they would be useful. But now it's a little different. Now I can imagine myself protecting you. All the details about grips, edges, they're not just details now. They interest me. So he'd given her an interest in knives. Fantastic. Anyway, I thought maybe I could enjoy a movie if I watched it with you. Is that okay? We might as well try. I've had it all put together for a while, anyway. We can try it. Lizzie brought a chair and sat beside him as they watched the tape. He was grateful that she at least watched the movie instead of him. It was nothing at all like how watching a film with a girl was supposed to be, according to his friends. Lizzie didn't seem remotely nervous during the scary parts, and to his surprise didn't seem to care about the romantic parts. Then again, he didn't think he really would want her to react that way. It definitely wouldn't feel like who she was. To his surprise, John found himself enjoying it too. Maybe his old meds were doing their job better than he thought. When it finally ended, Lizzie gave a small smile that he thought represented authentic satisfaction. Then she immediately turned to him. We should watch something together again, but I think I'd rather make our own movies. His mind immediately flashed to making... oh, wow, okay, John. Our Johnny boy here, he's, remember, in this timeline, he has not done it with her yet, so this is fresh. His mind immediately flashed to making porn together, and he had to force the thought away. What kind of movie? I would like to just film you, here, working, or eating, or anything. I could watch it later. Really? Wouldn't that be boring? No. Watching you could never be boring. Oh, this is such a great idea. I'll go buy I'll go buy one of those video recorders and not to cut you off, but wouldn't that be incriminating evidence? Huh? Fuck. What was he saying? Well, too late to go back now. I mean, it's not illegal. It's not legal to hold someone like this. And your basement looks like kind of suspicious. You wouldn't want someone to find it later. Aw, you care. Lizzie embraced him cheerfully, and despite himself, John felt a flicker of joy. Stockholm Syndrome! Let's go, guys. We're working on building up that Stockholm Syndrome to max level. Alright, let's go. When she was happy, she seemed so purely happy. You're right, of course. And I'm so glad you're thinking about keeping me safe. Even if I want to be the other way around, John. It's so kind. But maybe later we can make our own movies, okay? Okay? Yeah, maybe. Why the hell had he just done that? Having a tape of her behavior would have been a perfect way to get the police to take him seriously if he managed to escape. But as soon as he had that thought, John regretted it. He didn't want to see Lizzie hurt, and hated the idea of her going to prison, despite what she was doing to him. Despite the situation, he still thought of her as a sweet girl who wasn't entirely well. She deserved help, not punishment. Was this Stockholm Syndrome? Was she wearing him down? Just like she'd planned to? But then again, talking seriously for a moment here, think about John's condition, alright? So, John's depressed. The only person that somewhat cares about him is his dad. And I've talked to people in similar situations to John with the whole depression thing. And from their perspective, his dad would not be someone supportive. As an adult, you know, we can understand John's dad's perspective. Is he doing the best thing he should? No. But he is still taking care of him. He's dedicating himself to his work to forget the thoughts of his wife, but in the process he's forgetting his son to a certain extent too. And he's forcing his ways upon him, which is, again, is not a good thing, but I don't think his dad is inherently bad. But he's the only person besides Lizzie who's ever cared about him. And Lizzie's the only one who, like, again, in this version, she especially has a work for you. I will get the good ending for you guys, don't worry. In fact, if I upload this, it's probably after I upload the good one. Again, just gonna go and say that now. But I think from John's perspective, as long as she doesn't actually hurt him here, and she eventually, like, you know, lets him go and they, you know, make up, I think that's still the best route for him, even in this timeline. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. The idea disturbed him, but it didn't change how he felt. He needed to find another way. On Wednesday, Lizzie wanted to watch another movie, but John suggested that might be too many. Instead, they passed the day quietly, working and chatting, and ignoring the fact that he was chained to the table. You should play Monopoly! That's the perfect game to play right now. You got plenty of time. He was feeling better than he thought he could without Paxitine, so his mind shifted to what he could do to improve his situation. Chatting with Lizzie was pleasant, but it wouldn't resolve their problem. But what should he say? Try to leverage the last few friendly days into her letting him go? But just try to make her relax more. Or convince her that he wouldn't leave her. So, Lizzie. Alright, again, another save. So, start a conversation about her interests, start a conversation about romance, start a conversation about her peers, start a conversation about morality. So we got the same same question before, right? On the other timeline. So in the other one, the one I need to make the correct choice, I believe, is morality. But I'm wondering if that'd be a bad idea, since like it'd probably be about him being chained down. I don't know if that's the best option. You know what? Let's try morality. Let's see what happens, and then we'll do romance if it doesn't work. Hey, do you mind if I ask you a random hypothetical question? Ask anything you want. Okay, so it's the same one. Since this is one that's already been asked, I'm gonna just skip through this part. Alright. So let's go back just a bit. But you will. Eventually, I'm sure of it. I did that with you too, John, at first. Because I was afraid you wouldn't love the real me. Okay, there we go. That made things a little uncomfortable for the rest of the day, but John hoped that if he ever did somehow get strapped to the train tracks, Lizzie was the one nearby. The next morning, he took his pills with a glass of water. As usual, Lizzie waited until he was done and then gave him a warm smile. I hope it's helping. You seem happier, John. I feel better than I expected. Pretty good, actually. It was actually strange how good he felt, and it was easier not to think about that at the moment. Instead, he brought up an issue that he'd been thinking about for a while. That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask you. You've run out of Yandere, right? I hadn't taken it for a few days. I destroyed the rest of it the day before our date. You destroyed it? Why? It was useful. It helped me understand, but I wasn't myself while I was taking it. I wish you'd reconsider taking the medication. We can't handle everything ourselves. Sometimes we need help. You don't understand. It's not that simple. Then explain to me. I wasn't myself. It was like someone had imprisoned me and took my place. Imagine if your own medication meant that you could never feel sad again. Just constant, manic happiness. That does sound horrible. I'm sorry I made you take it. Don't say that. It was useful. Having things be different for a while made it easier to see how everything fits together. But I couldn't take it any longer than that. I wanted to be myself again. Koitek doesn't want to help people, John. They just want to control them. Are you just saying that metaphorically? Or do you actually know something about them? No. No? Abby was an addict because of them. I never cared about her. But I saw what Koitek's drugs did to her. They didn't change who she was. She was always horrible. The drugs just made her identity obvious. Not like you, John. You're still so kind, even though you were taking that drug. But they won't be satisfied with that. Are you seriously saying Koitek is some kind of conspiracy? Conspiracy? No, I don't think so. They just want money, and they're willing to cut corners to make it. I don't care what they do to anyone else, but you needed to stop taking the drug. You need to see clearly. He almost wanted to believe her. Koitek was a huge company, and those weren't exactly known for their ethics. It was plausible that they had been testing some dangerous drug on Lizzie's mother. It had probably been too dangerous for adults, but had a magnified impact on developing children. Did Lizzie see that, on some level? Or was she just paranoid about the company? Sometimes she seems so... And you should stop seeing Miss Smith. She's trying to steal you away, I'm sure of it. Lizzie, don't be ridiculous. She's 10 years older than me, and the school's counselor. I can't trust her. You can't. You shouldn't. Calm down. No one is going to steal me away. She stared at him, as if she desperately wanted to believe his words. A moment later, she gave an odd little half-shrug. I came to say I need to run some errands today, so I'll have to leave you alone, okay, John? Yeah, sure. She left the room, and John knew he had a rare opportunity, but he found himself sitting and thinking. Was it possible that she was right about Paxitine? He hadn't taken it in several days, and after a few low points, he actually felt much better than usual. The terrible irony of depression medication was that sometimes a drug could make you feel even worse, not better. Maybe the changes he'd attributed to Paxitine were just changes in his life. There couldn't be anything to her conspiracy theories. But he could believe that Koitek would push their drug on him, a drug on anyone with depression, even if it had mixed results. Things like that happened all the time. Abruptly, he resolved it. He resolved that if he made it out of the basement, he'd stop taking Paxitine as an experiment. He could stay on his old meds, see if he did better. If he actually shows signs of improvement, even Miss Smith would be happy to let him take older drugs. Regardless, for now, he needed to take stock of his options and take some kind of action while he had the opportunity and energy for it. He felt like he'd spent too much time thinking to make an escape attempt, but maybe he could accomplish something else. Okay, let's make something for Lizzie again. Since the previous dish, let's see, is it just going to be skippable material? Okay, here we go. On Friday, John woke up, stretched, yawned, scratched at the shackles of his leg, and got up to brush his teeth. It was only while brushing his teeth and staring at the walls of knives that he realized how normal his bizarre situation had become. 1 week ago, Lizzie had been asking him out on a date, and they had gone out like a normal couple. It felt like a lifetime ago. When he heard the basement door open, he didn't even glance up. He knew it would be Lizzie again. He just rinsed out his mouth and set the toothbrush aside. Good morning. Can you believe it's been a week already? I was just thinking that, actually. Hasn't it been wonderful? We've been together every single day. Ah, it's bliss. You know, we haven't done anything that we couldn't have done without the kidnapping. But that's the point. She kidnapped in the... She skipped in past him to the wall of knives. Lizzie held her arms behind her back as she examined them eagerly. When we were together at school, part of me was afraid we were both pretending. Even when we were alone, I wasn't myself. Oh, shit. Lizzie, calm down, girl, calm down. Lizzie chose one knife from the wall, caressing its edge slowly before taking it up. She turned to him, eyes unnaturally bright. A normal boy couldn't have done all of those ordinary things with me after seeing the truth. You're saying I'm not normal? And I wouldn't want you to be. Oh, come on, I'm completely normal. I'm making my kidnapper food in their basement, not even waiting for Stockholm Syndrome to sit in. Completely normal. What are you talking about? No, we're normal. What are you talking about? No, we're normal. Psh, what are you talking about? She came closer, knife swaying back and forth as her gaze remained fixated on him. She was close now, close enough that she could have kissed him or stabbed him. I want you to learn that you shouldn't be afraid of me. You know I would never pick up a knife to hurt you, right? I wanted an answer. Okay. So, should we kiss her or agree? Let's kiss her first and see what happens. Instead of answering a question that might not have a good answer, John leaned forward and kissed Lizzie gently. She gave a surprised gasp, kissed back for a moment, then suddenly pulled away. John, why did you kiss me? Isn't that what you wanted? Yes, it's exactly what I wanted. What I want. You've been giving me exactly what I want. This isn't right. I've ruined it. I've ruined everything. Lizzie, what are you talking about? You thought you needed to manipulate me, didn't you? Play with my feelings so I wouldn't hurt you. Okay, I think we need to deal with the agree part instead. But there may be no good ending for this one. I didn't think there was, but we'll see. This is all my fault. I drove you to this. Lizzie rushed out of the room and slammed the door behind her. When she returned later in the day, she pretended like the kiss had never happened. John did the same, but he couldn't help but feel like something was different. Whoopsie. On Saturday, Lizzie announced that she wanted to make a huge meal for both of them. Oh no, it's the final meal. It's a double suicide. No! On the last day, she asked if he wanted to eat, then headed out on a shopping trip. As soon as he was sure she was actually gone, John got up and took a deep breath. He didn't have much time left before the vacation was over. But what did he want to do? We don't have to make a meal for her option now. Alright, let's just keep to the path we've been going. Don't try anything. Though John considered a lot of options, they all felt futile. He was basically in Lizzie's power, so he might as well accept it. He tried to find a few more comfortable positions, slumped in the chair, head leaned up against the back of it, could stare up at the basement ceiling. All he could hope now was that she would decide to let him go. Maybe there would be something he could do to encourage that, but at the moment he had no energy to think. For now, all he could do was wait. Everything was in its place, including him, slumped down the chair. He could only hope that he had done enough. He waited in silence while Lizzie went about upstairs, putting away what she had bought. Eventually, he heard the door open, and she skipped down the stairs with a smile. "John, how are you?" "I'm going to let you go tomorrow." "Really? You aren't worried I'll tell someone?" "I am. If you told someone, it would hurt me so much, but I can't hold you here forever. I want to keep you here forever, but I want you to choose to stay with me even more. That would be best." "I see. You're not happy? After all this, do you really expect my emotions to be simple? Do you hate me?" "No, I don't think so." "That is good. But I want more than that." "I know, but you're going to have to wait. You can't rush a relationship by forcing it." "I know. Next time, you can choose when to ask me out, okay?" "Okay." His remaining time in the basement passed easily, almost casually. They didn't speak much about what was coming, and especially not about what had happened. They watched 2 more movies, chatted about simple things, finished up the last of their vacation homework, and on Sunday, Lizzie appeared in silence and unlocked the chair that kept him bound to the table. He stared at her and wished he could find something to say, but his mouth was too dry to speak. Eventually he left. He thought he might have seen a glimmer of tears in her eyes, but it might have been his imagination. The entire ride back, he tried to think about his experience, but couldn't even begin to grasp everything that had happened. When John got back home, he found the door undamaged. The entire house didn't look so different, as if it hadn't been abandoned for 9 days. There is only a single message on the answering machine. His father saying that he was going on a company vacation. He hadn't even noticed that John was gone. None of his friends had called. He had been taken out of the world, and no one had even noticed. Yes, see, like I said, his father's kind of neglectful. So while I not say he's the worst parent in the world, he's not the best. Not even close. I would definitely say he's on the worser end of parents. I do understand his situation, so he's not like one of those irrational actors necessarily. But his circumstances have caused him to be less than perfect. Far from it. The only person who had cared was Lizzie, but she wasn't there with him now, and there was still too many emotions to sort through with her. John sat down on the couch and simply felt numb. He fell asleep there, an uncertain amount of time later. He slept and did not dream. In the morning, John felt surprisingly refreshed. He made sure to take the meds that Lizzie had sent with him, since they seemed to have been working so well so far. When he went to school, he would have to ask Miss Smith her opinion, because despite the absurdity of it all, they were still going to have to go to school. Lizzie wasn't waiting for him outside his house, which was probably a good thing, he decided. The walk to school in the crisp air gave him time to focus. Not that he reached any profound conclusions, but by the time he reached school, he had at least felt reasonably okay. He didn't spot Lizzie at all, but when he opened his locker, he discovered a folded note in the center. "Good morning, John." It said, "Good morning, John," surrounded by hearts. Despite himself, John smiled a little. When he looked up, he saw Lizzie around a nearby corner, and she smiled back before vanishing. He drifted through several classes. Today, he wasn't too different from the other students, since they were all back from vacation and unfocused. None of the teachers tried to make them do very much. After school, he headed to Miss Smith's office, not entirely sure what he was going to say after so long away. However, he definitely felt like he could use some counseling. John, I hope you had a good vacation. It was okay, you?" "It's been the entire time working, I'm afraid. I actually tried to call you, but it seems you weren't home." "Yeah, I was busy. Sorry." "Oh, it's fine. I just hope you haven't lost any of our progress. Why don't you lie down and we can get started right away? He got onto the couch, but things didn't go as smoothly as usual. Miss Smith was doing her best, but he just couldn't concentrate. It didn't take a genius to know the reason. He needed to decide exactly what he was going to do. If he wanted protection from the police, this would be the best chance to ask for it secretly. Or even if he skipped some details, Miss Smith might be able to provide help of some kind. Or maybe he shouldn't tell her anything. It had all worked out for the best, hadn't it? Something on your mind, John? Alright, tell her the truth. Ask for more Paxitine. No, we're definitely not asking for Paxitine. Hint you're worried about Lizzie. Lie about everything. Alright, let's just lie. I don't know, this vacation was weird. I felt okay. Not great, but okay. Were you able to take a trip with your family? A chance to change of scene? I might have done you some good. No, we didn't do anything, but I guess a few things have changed for me lately. Maybe you're right. Apparently Miss Smith thought he was doing better, because she ended their session early and let him go home. On his way out, he spotted Lizzie watching him from the shadows. He smiled at her, and she smiled back, but that was all. And for now, that was enough. John started walking. Interesting, so that was pretty much just like a whole aside. He spent some time with Lizzie, but they didn't do anything too intense. Just shorter fun dates, nothing too romantic. And the sky still looked very gray to him, but he felt lighter than he had in a long time. On occasion, he still headed to the library to try to look up more about Koitek, see if he could find out more about Lizzie's condition. Eventually, he sat back and tapped his fingers on the desk, wondering if it was worth continuing. Lizzie, when I was, at your house, you made some pretty strong statements about Koitek. Do you know anything about them? No, I'm sorry, John. I can't really help you. It's just a feeling. A strong feeling. Not as strong as the sense that you were the one I was looking for, but I'm certain they don't want what's best. Sure, but does any corporation? This is different. After that, though, she couldn't explain herself any further. Seeing she didn't like the topic of the conversation, John decided to let it go. It's not like we can learn anything meaningful about them. I mean, we're just a couple of kids. It's not like their secrets will be printed in the local paper. Well, we can leave it. We have more immediate concerns, don't we? Yes, actually, I had something I've been wanting to ask you. The country fair is coming up next month. Can we go together? Well, I've always thought it was kind of a cheap event, but maybe it wouldn't be so bad with you. Yay! I'll look forward to it. Wait. Can we? Possibly. If this may be a better ending than the one I had gotten before. Let's see. I don't know if it's possible, but we'll see. I think we might end up with the same ending from part 7, but we'll see. Alright, so it was only later that John remembered something some of his classmates had said in elementary schoolers. Okay, yeah, let's skip that. So I'm skipping to see what parts we've already seen and what parts are new. Was that what Lizzie had been meaning to imply? Had he just signed up for more than he had realized? But over the next several days, she didn't act any differently, and just seemed to look forward to it with innocent anticipation. So it felt awkward to bring up, and the longer he didn't mention it, the stranger it got. And so day by day, they eventually reached the date of the county fair. Lizzie met him at the edge of the fair, shifting from foot to foot eagerly. Her face lit up when she saw him, and she immediately hurried to meet him. Oh, you're finally here. This is going to be so much fun. I'm glad to spend time with you, but honestly, I haven't gone to the fair in a few years. Oh, I'm sure we'll have fun. Besides, the important thing is that people will see us together. What? Dating doesn't really count unless a guy is willing to go to the fair with you. Guys don't talk like that? No, but I'm happy to be seen with you. Yay! Let's go see what all they have. So, let's see. For a while, they just wandered checking out all the attractions. Since the fair was still getting started up, it was easy to grab some food and cotton candy, which Lizzie happily fed him pieces of while they walked. Thinking about what being together meant for her, John realized that he didn't mind. After everything that they had been through, boyfriend and girlfriend felt like cheap words. He felt like the hardest stretch had been behind them. He'd seen Lizzie at her worst. He'd be happy to be with her at her best. Oh, is that a knife throwing booth? But we don't have to visit. Come on, let's go this way. Instead, Lizzie directed them towards a high striker booth. John kind of marveled at it. He'd seen them in pictures, but he hadn't been sure that they had actually existed before. Wait, what was that? Actually existed anymore. Some classmates he barely recognized were trying their luck at the moment, swinging the hammer high overhead and bringing it down onto the target as hard as they could. None of them got the slider more than halfway to the bell. Haha. John, try it. Man, is there any point? I'm going to suck. Oh, but try it. Giving in, he inserted his coin. Just lifting the hammer felt almost too heavy for him. But Lizzie was watching, and so he couldn't give up. John brought the hammer down as best he could. It felt like a strong blow, but the slider barely moved up a quarter of the distance before watching his classmates laughed. See, I'm pathetic. No, you just haven't learned how to use your strength. Here, let me help you. She slid up behind him, wrapping her arms around his and changing his grip on the hammer, with her body so close against his. The watching classmates stopped laughing. See, you need to throw your body into it. So your feet like so set your feet like this. Shift your hips a little. He felt like a little like a doll, being moved by her like that. But the pose she put him into did feel better. More of his body would be behind the swing now. Good, good. Now try again. She backed away and John took a deep breath. If he sucked again, he was going to feel absolutely worthless. But no, he couldn't let himself think like that. Instead, he brought the hammer down as hard as he could. To his surprise, it actually made it most of the way up. It didn't ring the bell, but it was better than he'd seen anyone else do. See? Good job! She seemed absolutely elated, even just with his mildly improved performance. But despite himself, John found that his mood has improved. They walked away together, enjoying the watchers entirely. Wait. What? Oh. I'll wait to talk about my theory to the end. I can't with the theory, but I'm gonna wait. This video is already long enough, and I'm gonna keep this video going to the end because I actually want to just include this all in one video. So if you guys are watching this one, if it does end up being video 8, which it might end up being, if this is, it probably will end up being video 8 just because I actually want to include this in the series now. But I have a theory, and I'm gonna tell you at the end if I get this right. Oh, hammers are interesting. They're just very, very messy. Haha. I should have known better than to ask. There was a moment of hesitation in her eyes, but she saw his smile and then returned it. At another booth, Lizzie managed to toss every single ring onto the furthest pin. That won her a giant stuffed bear, which she laughed at and gave it to him to hold. For a while, he was having a great time, but then, still carrying the bear, he heard an unpleasant snicker. Are you fucking serious? You two came here to play around with stuffed animals? One of his classmates was there with his girlfriend, quote-unquote, pawing at her chest, while she giggled and swatted at his hands. They both leered at John and Lizzie, holding hands. I mean, what are you, 12? Once taunts might have bothered him, but now John didn't care. He didn't even have any desire to prove that his friend was wrong. When he thought about everything he had been through with Lizzie, and felt her squeeze his hand, he just didn't care. Come on, let's ditch these losers. His classmate's girlfriend led them away, and John didn't really care about that either. When he gave Lizzie a smile, though, she seemed a little irked. You can just ignore them, you know? Oh, look, I think, is that the first time seeing that smile? I love that smile. It's like confident. I like that. Here, I'm actually going to take a picture of that one because I like that one. That's nice. Yes, but that won't be satisfying. Come on, this way. She dragged him to a narrow alleyway between two stalls. A little ways down, there was a closed-off space in between several of the temporary stalls. Surrounded on three sides, the sounds of the fair seemed softer. He became very aware of how alone they were as Lizzie slid off her jacket. Oh! Oh, Lizzie! Oh, wait, this is the same one as the embarrassed one from before, isn't it? Or maybe it is different. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I like it. It's nice. You want to do something not childish at all? Yes, I think I do. I know I can be a difficult girlfriend sometimes, but I want to show you that I can be nice too. He leaned back against the wall, needing a moment to catch his breath. Lizzie seemed to have no trouble fixing her skirt, and then rising to give him a hug. Wow, that felt amazing. Good. I liked it too. Maybe we can do more of this sometime. The cold air forced him to step away from her soon to get his cock back in his pants before it froze. Still, he felt warm, and not just in a sexual way. Soon they headed back out the alley. John felt like everyone must have noticed, but no one even looked at them. I think that should be fine for YouTube, right? Like, they didn't mention it, but it didn't really go into the details, and I marked mine as for adult content anyways. It should be fine. Actually, things outside seemed different. He frowned and glanced at Lizzie, who paused for a moment, then nodded. Is something wrong? The sounds in the distance aren't normal. There's too much tension. As soon as she said it, he realized that she was right. It didn't sound like people talking and having fun. They were upset about something. Without needing to discuss it, they headed towards the source of the commotion. Soon they arrived at a densely packed group of people clustered around a line of police tape. He could see a few cops moving within it, and spinning lights lit the entire scene in strange colors. But he couldn't tell what had happened. Lizzie shook her head, muttering something to herself, not sure how to help her. John found a familiar face in the crowd and tapped her shoulder. Hey, what's going on? Oh God, it's horrible. Someone from our school was killed. What? Who? His face was taken off entirely. They're still trying to identify him. Oh shit. Do they know who did it? They say it. I can't believe this, but they say it was some girl from our school. She stabbed 2 of the police officers, like with a knife. They had to be rushed to the hospital. Whoa, what about her? They shot her. Seriously. Or at least that's what I heard. I just got here in time to see the body before they covered it up. But I didn't see the violent part. Okay, this has actually been a really long episode, and I hate to cut it off right before the end. But you're gonna get a cliffhanger. Sorry. This has gone on long enough. I need to hydrate, need to take care of some things. So we're gonna end it there. Again, this one part of the series, this is episode 8. This is episode 8, okay? This is episode 8, because this ended up being way more interesting than I thought it did. I gotta say, really, really good job. I think, if I remember the game creator, let me see if I can remember the title. I think it's Sarah Lee, I think. If not, I apologize. I'll try to correct it in the next one. But amazing job. I hate the games where they just, like, kill them off when you make, like, a decision that, like, leads to a kidnapping or stuff like that. I love the fact that they continued on. So I cannot wait to see the next part. The next episode may be really short because we are almost to the end, but we are going to end it here, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Love you all. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, all that. Sorry I did all that. I just really want you guys to see the end of the series. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye.